Hello there, YouTubers. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to a regular vlog in which I'm not filming in the form of a live stream. And yeah, so I hope this can kind of reduce my stuttering, or at least the frequency of my stuttering. Well, for which I sincerely and humbly beg your pardon. Yeah, so it's the 16th of July, year 2025, both at Australian Eastern Standard Time / Sydney time and local Beijing time. So in this filming session, I would like to talk about and dive into how to achieve a balance between the practices of self-improvement / red pill and yeah, I beg your pardon for the momentary interruption due to the loose USB port. So yeah, in this filming session, I just like to dive into and share and talk about how to achieve a balance between the practices of self-improvement / red pill and black pill. So we all know that life is shit, and this is such fact holds particularly true for us men, and where we all oftentimes get ourselves stranded in highly unfavorable, highly adverse, highly challenging situations or circumstances, where we do not we do not tend to get sympathy or empathy, even just a minuscule amount of support from others, and blah blah blah. And well, still, regardless of which gender you are born with, life can certainly pose an nearly equal amount of hardships and challenges to both men and women, as a lot of factors, a lot of say mission parameters fall way beyond our range of reasonable control and you, you know the ability to manipulate or maneuver, and say, your ethnicity, your nationality, your cultural, or your cultural background or customs, and which can largely determine, your upbringing, your upbringing and ingrained mindset, ingrained hardwired way of thinking, and those things, those ingrained ideologies or mindsets, tend to follow you, for the rest of your lives, and there is truly, so little, we can do to change those, and even if, we do find, ways, to improve them, to tackle them, to handle those issues, it almost always will take a great deal of time and hard work, and oftentimes, more often than not, the results will be, minuscule, though incrementally improving at best. So yeah, it's quite, it certainly, poses a great deal of challenge and hardships, to just, change, one's life, one's circumstance, since, easier said than done, as such old saying goes. So yes, certainly, and not to mention, that, there are, plenty of, tons, loads of natural hazards, natural hardships revolving around, life itself. Say, we all have to drink H2O frequently, eat at least, say, at least once or twice per day, in order to maintain, in order to gather and accumulate a sufficient level of physical strength and mental capacity to handle, to tackle daily tasks, daily challenges thrown right at us, by life itself, So certainly, and furthermore, we have to keep ourselves clean. We have to make sure that we look presentable to to others, and that, not just in front of strangers, not just in front of strangers, in front of those NPCs, those say co-workers, say superiors, in case you happen to have to participate in the conventional 9 to 5 grind, then you will have a lot to deal with. You have a lot to handle, to tackle, on a daily basis, for certain, unfortunately. Though I may not, fully, I may not fully understand or can fully relate, to what exactly what you guys have been through. I can certainly, share with you guys, one or two, say case studies pertaining, to the, to all those highly traumatizing, highly hostile experiences I've had living and coping and coming to terms with my own life, and blah blah blah. Again, I beg your pardon for my intermittent stuttering, but I am doing my best, not to stutter by, say, trying to take some deep breaths, trying to judge myself less, no matter, how many times I stumble, how many times I got myself knocked down by, the never ending, waves of shite storms or shit storms, as well as persecutions by my adversaries, namely and most typically speaking, that wicked woman. Though, thanks to my recent effort of at least attempts, the hard work, the tentative effort I throw at the whole circumstance in order to to achieve an slightly less undesirable outcome, so that she no longer comes to knock on my door so viciously and so fiercely, and so frequently, and I suppose well, judging by the recent the fairly significant drop in terms of the frequency she comes to knock on my door. At least so it seems to me that my attempts to to negotiate, to pacify the the grievances, the the misunderstandings between the two parties, at least seems to have worked a little bit. And since well, I did my best. I did, or at least I imagine I did my best, or my best, to do better, than she does. I tried, well, I just, like I said, been practicing the detachment and Zen, by letting go, all those dead weights, those, mental burden and liabilities, that constantly, drain away my strength and energy. So yeah, that says, how should I put it? Yeah, so well, at least on the surface level, it is not true. At least it doesn't always apply in life that no matter how much hard work you put in, you can never change your shitty circumstance or situation. Well, but still, so long as you seek, you attempt to pursue a different angle, by embracing, by trying to overcome your fear, your and surmount, your previous fixated predispositions and precognitions or silly or foolish assumptions about certain people or certain NPCs or certain phenomenon or phenomena and blah blah blah. Since more often than not, we do not know the whole truth, and even if we do, even if we do say, even if assuming we do know the say the whole truth, about a certain affair, a certain event, or a certain person, you may due to your your recent your upbringings, your previous trauma, your previous setbacks and shit, you and whatnot, it's still like I said in some of my previous posts on my channel here on YouTube, knowing the truth alone does not necessarily enable you to hit where it actually hurts. For example, an analogy in rudimentary computer science, revealing the file extension names cannot let us, the end users, modify or alter the contents of those files. Oftentimes, we need to know precisely which applications or which set of programs created those files in order to open them in the first place, and then you can then alter the contents, its contents from inside. So yeah, so I suppose the moral of the story is that do not apply so much pressure, so much blame or self guilt tripping onto yourself. It does nothing else but keep yourselves in further pain, in deeper holes, in deeper shitholes, and causes you to suffer even more. It is totally fine not to and Dad says it is totally fine not to know the whole truths, since some truths are never meant to be known. You are never supposed to know something, and you certainly do not actually need to know to get yourself that familiarized or acquainted with all the knowledge, all the possible or potential outcomes that an action or a certain or a set of actions might result in or lead to. Just I'm not saying that you should follow the crowds blindlessly like a mindless NPC or drone, but instead it plays a vital role to to kind of gaslight yourselves into into a certain sort of false hope, and sometimes on some occasions those even those false hopes can actually come to fruition, can actually come true without much deliberate hard work or human intervention. And since I don't know if you have noticed such such phenomenon, say the oftentimes, more often than not, the harder you try to to achieve something, or to earn, to make some money, the harder it actually becomes for you to actualize them. But instead, um, I don't know if I am making much sense here, but it kind of works like in a much similar, in a much similar fashion, to the to the you know placebo effect when it comes to treating or alleviating certain symptoms or illnesses. Since I hold absolutely no qualifications in medicine or in medical science or in or in or alternative therapy or blah blah blah. So do not um, you know do not uh, you know please do not take what I say here too seriously. But just so you know that um, the I beg your pardon. Placebo effects does truly work in many in many cases, under many contexts and circumstances in the field of medicine. It's been scientifically proven, and that di- directly links to the power of the human mind. And though I'm not saying that you can manifest every wish or every dream or every wild fantasy or desire you tend to have throughout your whole life. No, not at all. But just so we need to create and maintain a perfect balance in you know between between practicing discipline of self-improvement and black pill, aka knowing and acknowledging and come to terms with the cruel, brutal, and harsh truths that applies to each and every human life here on planet Earth. Just as we humans have two hands, we have the right hand and the left hand, and the right ear and the left ear, and the right eye and the left eye, and the right side of the cerebrum, or the brain, and the left side of the brain, and there's another old proverb that says you need both a carrot and a stick to draw a mule or a donkey. So that I believe also applies in the art, in the act of in the act and art of negotiations, or the attempts to make a rather challenging, rather difficult negotiation with difficult, highly unreasonable people or parties or business entities or institutions, organizations, blah blah blah, under a variety of contexts or circumstances. And also, in the Bible, we have, the Old Testament and the new one. In the Old Testament, God, did, commit, loads of atrocities, loads of, he imposed, loads of, loads of atrocious and brutal penalties, onto those that refused to obey him. But in the New Testament, grace and leniency tend to apply. Yeah. To summarize, do not indulge in blackpill too much, because you are merely torturing yourselves even more, on top of the existing hardships and punishments associated with life itself. But instead, on the other hand, do whatever you can to seek instant improvements, and that in turn, as a byproduct of your hard work to seek instant improvement, you will gain, more or less some instant rewards, even instant gratifications. And do not shy away, from those kind of instant gratifications, since it gives you, it helps build up the very foundation, to make your next comeback in life possible. Yeah, so know how, just like social media, just like money, weapons, blackpill, and also the practices and disciplines of self-improvements. They are all a double-edged sword. It all depends, on how you perceive and apply them in practice. Yeah, just though I'm not, on the other hand, every now and then, it is totally fine, to immerse, to immerse, to dip yourself in the ocean of black pill, of black pillars. Yeah, and yes, more or less, I do consider myself largely a black pillar, or at least a rather perplexing, a rather peculiar amalgamation or combination of of both practices and philosophies. Um, you know, I suppose it all comes down to perspectives and mindsets. Yeah. So to summarize, learn to embrace. Learn to learn to perceive and tackle your current problems with a new angle, a new horizon, a new perspective. Never shy away from from seeking an alternative approach or route or route. And rest assured, you will feel better. Trust me, I have been through a lot. It comes and goes. There are always ups and downs, and I know it certainly feels like it feels overwhelmingly painful, overwhelmingly excruciating when you hit your rock bottom, when you got get yourself stranded in a situation or in a circumstance you no in which no matter how hard you struggle, no matter how hard you try to unshackle yourselves from it, you just don't see a light at the end of the 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 tunnel. But we can help one another see through them, because we are far from weak. We never cease to make improvements onto our lives, and we practice brotherly love, loyalty, and immutable principle of achieving a balanced and fulfilling life. Yeah. So yeah, I suppose I have talked quite enough during this filming session. Please feel free to let me know what you guys think about this video. Yeah. Yeah. So I suppose, yeah, on the other hand, I plan to pay a visit to some local and some local antiques and relics shops to see if I can spend some of the red packets money from my grandpa wisely, to make some alternative investments, and I will. make sure that I shall dive deeper into you know those fields of studies, fields of practices pertaining to how to make, relatively speaking, risk-free alternative investments, um, and don't worry, it has utterly nothing to do with crypto, or or AI, or all those um, new but seemingly fancy but kind of do- dodgy and potentially devious tech. So they are I believe they 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 carry a minuscule amount of risks, and though you will not necessarily make some big bucks, but rest assured they can pretty much forever help you retain and incrementally build your wealth, and portfolio of investments, as well as safety nets, in preparation for your retirement, for our peaceful and peaceful, fairly comfortable retirement, assuming we do get to enjoy such peaceful retirement in the future, say a decade or two, blah blah blah. Yeah, so yeah, I beg your pardon for dragging this filming session for a bit, for quite significantly more lengthy, more more tedious than I expected, and for which I humbly and sincerely beg your pardon. So yeah, in any event, thank you very much for being with me to the end of this filming session. And yeah, I shall keep you guys updated. I shall do my best to keep you guys posted on the developments pertaining to my situation or situation. So yeah, thank you very much again for your time. Yeah, and shout out to John, to Eddy, to Divergent, and etc. All my most beloved patrons and subscribers, frequent viewers. Thank you so much for keeping me sated and motivated to push further ahead with my shitty life. So yeah, in any event, thank you again for being with me to the end of this filming session. So yeah, stay out of trouble, stay far from weak, and take care, if God's still willing. Until next time, cheers, and continue to stay far from weak. Bye. Amen.